Hey guys, it is June 11th here in Maryland 7A. This is going to be my first garden tour. I wanted to start this journey really to keep track of things and see what's growing well and what isn't growing well. More kind of a learning journal for myself. So if you guys want to come along with me and see what's growing so far. Alright, this is the entrance to the garden. I did wait for the sun to go down a bit because it is 90 degrees here and very humid. So this is the entryway. I threw some wildflower mix in there a couple years back, and I think this is pretty much what comes back every time. Climbing rose, I don't remember the variety of it. And on the other side was also wildflower mix. Not all of it came back. And also there's a rose in here that's trying to come back slowly but surely. All right, these are, I guess they fell over. We did get some rain last night. These are what's left that I need to get in the ground still, which are some pretty much cantaloupe and watermelon that I had started, and they desperately need to get in the ground. I think this is lemongrass that I have yet to plant as well, but this is what's left, is that of my starts. Everything else should mostly be planted. But if you come along the back side on the right, I have some flowers here in plant pots. I think this is a black-eyed Susan. I started these by seed. I think this is Gomphrena. I did buy this one, straw flower, because I can never get to come up. There's a hollyhock in the back. Some amaranth, I think hot biscuits, and the Love's Bleeding one. And then I actually threw some sunflower seeds along the fence line, but they keep getting eaten. I don't really know by what. And I have yet to weed this row. So I have some zinnias right here. Some of them are starting to pop up. And then this is the improved orange ball calendula. I've already actually picked some to dry. And then I have my little labels here. These are all pole beans. So they're purple potted in the first section of the cattle panel, and then yellow wax ones here. They've reached some height on those. And then the last part is Blue Lake pole beans. And this one's doing really good compared to the rest. Oh, that's probably not a friend, but it's still growing fairly well. Then I'm not quite sure. I think this is a Waltham squash. Some of these I kind of planted and I kind of forgot what they were. Pretty sure this is a Waltham squash. And then just some curly kale. I have a bunch of kale that I started from seed this year. And then some 8-ball squash that actually have some squash in it. I don't know if they're fully pollinated, but I think there's like quite a few. Some of these are probably gonna fall off. There's a bunch there. And then these are bush beans that are getting eaten. Those two at the end are doing pretty good, but this one, I don't know if it's a lack of fertilizer. This one's been chomped on a bit, but I just stuck some bush beans in this row. I had plans for some more squash to fill out these gaps here. I'm hoping, I think I threw some seeds, yeah. some more squash seeds in here, but I don't see any have popped up quite yet. But these are doing fairly good. I think there's some flowers on this one starting. And then I think there's beets in this little grow bag here. And then the next row, I have a bunch of marigolds planted in between my tomatoes. I think there's 3 different varieties. A lot of them are saved seeds, so they're kind of a morph of different things. But some tomatoes on this guy. I think this is a mystery one. I don't remember what this was. And then these are, I don't know if anyone's ever grown these. I love them. They are kind of a hassle to pick, but these are my spoon tomatoes. And there's actually tiny little tomatoes already. They're so little, but they are so fun. I have grown these now. This is my 3rd year growing these. They are quite annoying to pick, but I love them. I think they're worth the coming in and picking. They're just great in a little salad as a little burst of flavor. And then I have yellow pear. Yeah, yellow pear, and there's actually some on here already. You can see that there. I was actually afraid for this row because I noticed that they were getting some type of disease. A couple of them have these spots on these leaves, and I thought it might have been early blight. So I mulched more heavier, and then I tried to pick off some of the ends of them, but like this one has it pretty bad here. I probably need to come off and cut this. So it's either early blight or some type of fungal disease. This is black cherry. And this also has some already started. It's like blossom emerald on that one. I'm gonna pull this guy off. I'm not quite sure. I've never seen that before. Usually it's at the bottom of the tomato, so it could be something in the soil. I don't really spray, so I'm not quite sure. And next to that one, I think is another. I think I did 2. No. Super Sweet 100s. Those also have some tomatoes. And that I know I did 2 of. So this one is the same as well. Then next to that, I think is, what do we have here? Sun Gold. Sun Gold tomatoes has tons of flowers on it. I don't know if I see any tomatoes yet. Not quite yet. Just a bunch of flowers. And then next to that one is Kellogg's Breakfast, which looks pretty good. Still some of that fungal stuff at the bottom. I don't see any tomatoes or really any flowers on that one. And then I think Anise Noir. Yeah, this one and this one are both Anise Noir. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but they kind of look like a tie-dye, kind of like the Berkeley tie-dye tomato. I've never really grown this one successfully, but it looks fairly good. There's some flowers on it there. These don't look too bad with that fungal disease like the rest of them look like they have, but I did prune these pretty heavily at the bottom just for airflow because I have them planted very close to one another. And then the last tomato on here I think is Jersey Devil, which is more like a paste tomato. Probably should prune this back a bit. It's looking heavily like needs some airflow in here. Don't see any tomatoes yet, or flowers. And then I have just a plain jalapeno, doing pretty good here. And then some volunteer tomatoes. There's probably a bunch of volunteer tomatoes in the garden because I do a poor job of taking out the ones and throwing them away. And then these are lemon jalapenos, and they're just not doing too well. I started my peppers late this year, and a couple of them really got stunted because I think I took them out too early, and it was very cold here still. Some of the nights were getting down to the 40s, and a lot of them I think suffered some stunted growth. And then I think this is it's gotta be some type of squash. Here's my problem, it's a squash or a cucumber. I don't do well with labels. And then I know this is a Market More cucumber. And then some more of those very stunted peppers. I don't really think they're gonna do much. I have a couple. They're very, very small. I might end up ripping them out or just leaving them and let them be. But I don't see them getting full growth. Some of them are kind of catching up, but not as good as my other peppers. More volunteer tomatoes. Probably a volunteer zinnia. And then all of these should be snacking peppers up until I think I have a purple pepper here. Purple bell pepper. More of the stunted ones in between, which are supposed to be fish pepper. They don't look very well. And then I think these are just orange bell peppers here, and they look pretty good under the shade cloth. Some more volunteer tomatoes. I need to rip all this stuff out. And then some moss parsley. The next row, one year I planted bulbs, and I guess the bulbs got left behind, so they're kind of mixed in between these rows. So I think there's some type of gladiolus, I just don't know what. And then we have 3, which I don't know if they're gonna make it all the way, just because it is getting very hot here and humid. So they're suffering, and you can tell they've been nibbled on. I know I've seen some worms and moths and things here. Also have a ton of slugs, lots of slugs here, and I've seen them munch away. But these are Napa cabbages. If they can make it, they look pretty decent. I don't know if they don't look like they're gonna bolt yet. And then I have some zinnias, I think, sprinkled in between the rows. And then I'm pretty sure these are broccoli. I started multiple broccolis and cabbages, and some of them did well, and then I restarted them. See, like, you can see, I've noticed a ton of these little guys here. And these are what are eating all of my broccoli and cabbages currently. Normally I would just put diatomaceous earth, but it is supposed to rain this weekend, and I feel like there's really no point. So I might put some when it has cleared up and rain. But these not the first one I've seen. I've noticed a couple of them munching on my stuff. But I think some of them are stunted because I started them later than others. And then This guy actually has a little broccoli, but I think if you can see this, I don't know if that's gonna pick up. That looks like worm poop. And the florets are starting to open. I think it's because I have shade cloth on underneath, but this one is kind of on the edge, so it gets a lot of sun. So this is probably gonna go to the chickens, these little stunted ones, and I'm sure the chickens will have a great snack. See, there's more of these worms. I do see the moth fly around quite often. So they'll just be warm chicken snacks. I think this is a lemon burst sunflower. It's not fully open yet. And I think these are purple kohlrabi that I sprinkled. I kind of chaos sprinkled purple kohlrabi seeds and bok choy in Komatsuna greens. And that's what these are. So there's a couple of them here. And they're so very thickly down here where you can tell I just threw a bunch. But it's definitely way too hot for these. You can tell they're starting to flower and bolt. So I will also just give these to the chickens. The next one, I have more flowers, just more amaranth there. I think this is a squash that I saw volunteered, and I tried to pull it up and plant it where it had more room, and it didn't like it. I don't know if it'll come back. And then this is Swiss chard. I sprinkled in here as well, mixing with violets. That's a popular weed I have. And I think this is more Swiss chard. I just kind of threw the seeds in here and see what was gonna take. And then I have purple cabbage. I think there's like 5 heads of these. These don't look too bad. I don't think the worms have gotten to these as bad as the others. They're probably busy snacking on the other ones, but they look all right. And then I think these were turnips. I'm not quite sure. I just chaos sprinkled a lot of things in here, including radishes. And that's why they're heavily sprinkled, but they are flowering. So yeah, I'm gonna pull all these out and slowly give them to the chickens as snacks. They didn't really get to fully bulb in here because they're way too close. I put way too many seeds, but it's all right. And then I think this is a Brussels sprout, but it's not looking the hottest either. I know it's definitely too hot for these things. Just seeing what would try to attempt to make it. But yeah, these worms. I think that's the worm poop. They're feasting here. But that's the price you pay for not really spraying. I don't really want to spray the stuff that we're eating. And then some more calendula at the end. And then actually, I have some potatoes right here that I guess I didn't pull some up, and now they're growing there. Decided to just leave them there for science. See what happens. And then we have a nice big, I think this is a chocolate cherry, starting to form here. It's one of my favorite sunflowers is the chocolate cherry. And then more brassicas, which don't know if they're gonna fully head. Like marigold sprinkled in. Like all these tiny little ones I'll probably rip out and replace with squash. More sunflowers. I think they're They're trying to form a head here. I just don't know if we have enough time. It's getting very warm. But the rest is more sunflowers, marigolds. And then, if anyone's ever grown this, I might butcher the name here, so I'm so sorry. Kometsuna. So the first time I've ever grown it, and I will definitely be keeping this in the garden all the time now, from now on. It doesn't get a lot of pests like the other brassicas and greens, and this is great in stir fry. So I will always be growing that. If you've never had the chance, try that out. And more sunflowers at the end, a nice little patch there. The next row, more tomatoes. I love tomatoes, as you can tell. I think these are both Paul Robeson that I have stuck over here. Best tasting tomato. I think very definitely could be top 3 for me. So I try to grow this every year. Nice bloom, looks pretty good. No disease has gotten to it. It's getting very humid here though, so I need to start pruning these, but here's the other one. Looking well. Some more marigolds. But the problem here, because I do sew things quite closely together, is I have this yarrow here, and I've had it here, I think this is year 3. And it's beautiful and large. I can show you on the other side, but it is probably going to choke out this tomato here, so I need to move this somewhere. I do enjoy it, but it needs to not live right here. And then this is a Mr. Stripey that it's fighting here. And I also have amaranth that volunteers because it blows and pops up everywhere. And then what do we have? Cherokee purple. Cherokee purple. And then this guy, which looks like I need to tie up. It's kind of leaning that way. It's Sheboygan. I'm probably mispronouncing that as well, but I know that this, I have grown this before, is a really good paste tomato as well. Great for canning, like sauces and stuff. And then, what do we have here? A Better Boy, which I accidentally, I think I beheaded this one on accident, and it seems to be doing fine. But I accidentally chopped it trying to push it. It got stuck in between the panel. And then this is the another Better Boy, which you can really tell the difference in them. Let's try to step back here. This is one, this is the other. It's much, much bigger because they didn't get a chop on accident. And then, as you can see, more volunteers. I need to take these out. I just don't have the heart in me to let them die, but I know it's overcrowding. And then, oh wow, this is funky. I don't think I've ever seen a stalk grow like that with a little rivet there. What is this? Mushroom? Mushroom tomato. And then Black Beauty next to it. Some flowers. And then this is a monster here. I really need to tie this up. It's really getting crazy, and I think we're supposed to get very bad winds. I don't want these to snap, but this is part of logging it. So to see what survives after this weekend of bad weather. But this is Terracotta Thornburn. It has some little tomatoes already started, but it needs to be trellised. And then I think Chocolate Stripes next to it. Oh. Also has little tomatoes on it, and it has more like potato leaves than like your typical tomato, which I don't know why, I always thought that was so cool. I love potato leaf varieties. Some more marigolds. Nice, beautiful big one. Do you guys see that little tiny bee? I don't know what kind of bee that is. Oh, it's gone. And then more calendula at the end there. And I think there was a little mix-up between these four. My mother-in-law came and helped me plant a lot of these, and I had them in my little containers with tags on it, and they fell over. And so either these are celebrity F1s or Romas. I did 2 of each. I don't know which ones are which, but until we see tomatoes, then I'll know. But they look really healthy. I know these are determinate, so I'm not gonna prune, but here lies the problem. I had spoon tomatoes and other cherries in this row last year, and not this because this is a weed. Look at the amount of volunteer tomatoes that are in here, and I mean, there's hundreds of these. All of these are volunteers, they're not part of the main stock. These are volunteers. All of these right here in the middle, all this are volunteers. And sometimes, you guys, I wish I had more gardening buddies so I could take these out and share, because they just don't have the heart into me. Like, look how hard they try to grow, and I just don't want to rip them out, but I probably will rip some out and plant them either somewhere else or kind of just see what happens. And then past those 4 are, I did buy these. They're called, I think I would have, oh, here it is, another volunteer. Buttercup squash. I don't know if anyone's ever grown that. I believe it's a winter squash, and I did not do my research, and I should have, because I wouldn't have planted them right here in this area, because I had tan neck squash here last time, and I couldn't walk through here. So I'm gonna have to find a trellis for these, because these are gonna go crazy, which they already starting to grow sorts of all crazy. I need a trellis over here. But other than that, they look pretty good. More volunteers. A little nasturtium hidden there. Another volunteer on the other side. And then these are patty pans. That one obviously did not get pollinated. I'm just gonna rip that out. But there's some in there. Whether they get pollinated, we'll know. And there's more on this side. Some look pretty good, like they might have been pollinated. And then I think this is the Italian striped. And some look pretty good too. Gonna get a decent squash. And then more volunteers. I think this is another volunteer squash that I tried to replant, and it didn't like it, so it's probably not gonna make it, you guys. Yeah. So I'll probably just plant something else there. More kale, and then broccoli. That doesn't look too bad. I don't know if you guys can see in there, but also look at this. More worm friends. So I should probably pick these and try to salvage what's left of them. Oh, but I've never successfully grown brassicas. This is the closest as I've ever gotten. And then I think these are Adam Gherkin, yeah, cucumbers is one of the best ones. I think from Johnny Seeds. It's a little small, and they're very good. Little tiny guy right there. And then more nasturtiums, looking beautiful as ever. Some dill, some struggling dill compared to some other spots that I have dill. This one's not doing too bad, but this one looks like it's needing some help. And then I stuck some cucumber seeds in here. Only a couple of them came up. Really was hoping for more, so I might have to buy some cucumbers for that. Some more nasturtium. Some basil. Some more dill that like died and now it's coming back. And then sadly these 4 or 5 tomatoes. I couldn't tell you. I don't know where the labels were, and they're planted. Don't really quite know what they are. I guess we'll know when they're fully grown. But there looks to be, this honestly might be a mushroom tomato, just from the looks of it. Maybe. Guess we'll find out together. Some more dill, but I guess the winds last night must have knocked this dill down. Try to help it stand up on its own here. It smells so good. This one not looking too bad. Don't know if I see any little tomatoes in this one yet. Definitely a mystery. Some more basil down there with more nasturtium, more dill, more kale. And then I have the peas. I did 4 different types. Never successfully grown peas. I'm from Texas, so like peas is very hard to grow just because they're a cool weather crop, but being here in Maryland, I actually have a chance. So I think these are sugar snap peas. There's a couple of them on here. We've yet to pick any of the sugar snap ones. They've, I feel like, taken the longest. But there's quite a bit of flowers on them. And then I have more kale, and then I have peppers down below. At the bottom, they're getting shaded out. Hopefully the peas, when they're gone, will have more sun to them. They don't look too bad, but I'm sure they're lacking a little bit of sun. The kale is thriving here, though. And then, so I did sugar snap ones, and then I have, I think, spring shelling peas. These are all snap ones still. The shelling ones start over here. Put this guy back up. He fell over as well. I should probably tie all these. Some of the snap peas, I can maybe insert a picture, but we have picked, I'm sorry, I said snap, shelling. Some of the shelling peas we have picked already. But you guys, if you've never grown shelling peas, and yes, it does take quite a bit to even get much, but just a handful to me was worth it. It's hard to ever go back and eat a can of peas after you've tasted these. My husband agrees now. He does not want to go back to eating any canned peas. So we'll probably make more spots for shelling peas and start them probably a bit earlier, because I think I started them a little late. And they're starting to die off a bit. But look at this nasturtium, you guys. I think variegated nasturtium is just so beautiful. Really anything variegated. I have a couple of them. This is pretty big. Just love those. So then, the majority of these are shelling, and then you get to like over here, a little tag. It's the Green Beauty Snow Peas. There's actually quite a bit on here too. Probably need to pick some of these. before the storm comes in and rips these out. It's supposed to be very high winds, so that's what I'm nervous about. Here's a little volunteer squash. Don't know which kind, but there are tons of peas here that I really need to get inside. These are great in stir fry. We've actually already picked some and had them with stir fry already. Love these though. And then at the very end, I have, I think these are green mammoth. Let's tag somewhere in here. Yeah, green mammoth snow peas, which honestly have yet to really see any. Some of the blooms are here, but I don't think we've seen any, unless I've missed it. Don't see any of the mammoth ones quite yet. And then there's I think these are cayenne peppers here. This one's doing a lot better than the other ones because it gets more sun than the ones in there. And then I have rhubarb that looks terrible. I've never had rhubarb before, so I don't know if it's a me problem or what. It doesn't look the greatest, you guys. Any advice on that? Be great. And then look at our moth friend laying all the green worms. And then I have sweet corn. I think it's just gold bantam. I don't know how to pronounce it. Some of them are doing really good. Some of them have just came out the ground. But there's a couple that are just sprouting that are a little bit later than some of the other ones. And then back there, well, this used to be our berry patch. So there's berries on the other side. Try not to step on anything. Pretty sure these are blackberries that we didn't pull all of these out. So when the season's over, we'll get these out. And then my little fig tree here doesn't look the healthiest. I tried to cut him back. We had a really harsh winter, so it's taken a lot longer for it to come back. And then I have a little grow bag here, and I'm pretty sure I stuck cantaloupe in here. Don't know where my tag is. Pretty sure these are cantaloupe. 3 of them in this big bag. I'm hoping this works out because last time I just did it in ground and I couldn't even walk through the floor here. This was fully covered with melons. Couldn't even see the ground. And then, as you can see, the canes from all the berries, well, the rhizomes, they sprout out from the bottom. So there's a couple that I hope to rip out. But berries are starting to come along. I mean, they're full of berries just waiting on ripening. And then these are a mix of blackberry, raspberry, and black raspberry. Kind of mixed in. When we took them out from that corner, we wanted to spread them out so it was easier to pick, because they're much harder to pick when they're just in a big brush pile. These are black raspberries. There's tons of them in here. And we've picked a couple of these already. This side didn't transplant as well, so this side is very struggling. But there's still quite a bit of berries that did not too bad. And then, let's see our little bee friend. And then I have some sunflowers here. One didn't make it, but I think these are mammoths. And then I have red hyacinth bean. I don't know if anyone's ever grown that, but when it's growing, it's really beautiful. It like looks like a coverage, foil coverage, like a wall. And then I think I have one lonely hollyhock back there with all the weeds. And then I have some mini watermelon that I planted in there, hoping to come up on this trellis. And then that's a cantaloupe in that one. It has some flowers on it. And then I think these are crimson sweet watermelons. And then in this bed, there's a hodgepodge of things. So there's some spinach that's still alive in here, starting to flower in here. And I think this is a cabbage. More kale, spinach, different type of kale. And then this was originally our asparagus bed. So they're starting to fern out and we're just letting them do their thing. We've picked tons of asparagus off already. But here's some of them. This one snapped. I don't know if you can see how big that is, but it broke. Oh, there's one also back there. But we're just gonna let them grow out. And then I think this is a sunflower. Volunteer sunflower. Here's one that's not too bad, but I am gonna let it go to fern. But it's not too bad. And they turn into this huge fern plant. And then back over here I have Market More cucumber. And then I bought this one because I've never seen this variety before. Suyo-long? I don't know. It needs some water probably. Let me know if anyone's ever grown that. Looked interesting. Looked like a long curly cucumber. And then they were stuck under the blueberries, they were stuck under the blackberries last year. We dug them out, and so they look pitiful. But here are blueberries. There's still some on there, but they were getting outgrown. Like that one looks worse. This bed, we have more kale, surprise. Pickle bush cucumbers, 2 of them. And then another volunteer squash. It's stuck in here somehow. It's crazy. Plants have the will to grow, you guys. Look at it. It's in the crevice. And then catmint. Yes, I know it's crazy, but my cats do love it, so it is in here. I need to hack it back. And then next to that blueberry, chocolate mint. There was pineapple mint in there, but this is the other blueberry plant. And it's very spindly. It was really working for sun through those berry bushes. But hopefully this is a better spot. No, this is chocolate mint. The other one was orange mint, I'm sorry. And then behind me, I planted onions. They look, I've never grown onions before, so this might be a fail. Yeah. Another volunteer squash, some lettuce. I think there's some, honestly, old carrots in here. that are also growing. And then I had a 5-pound bag of russet potatoes that were sprouting. So I just decided to throw them in the bed. And this is the aftermath of those 5 pounds. Which, I mean, they've grown fairly healthy. Most of them already bloomed and the flowers have fallen off. Some of them are dying back there. So this will be a nice surprise when it does finish dying back. And then the last couple things are, we have some fruit trees. There's a peach contender. They have a couple of peaches on them. Not too bad. And then there's, I think that one's Gala. I think that one's Gala back there. And then Granny Smith. Those are those 3 that we have. And then that's pretty much it, you guys. I think I have a little herb garden in the front with a bunch of different herbs. I don't know if you guys are ever interested in stuff like that, but that's the garden. Let me know what you guys think, or if you guys are growing any of the same varieties. And I hope you guys follow along with my garden journal. Thanks for watching.